Welcome back, viewers. In this video I'm going to be teaching you people how to produce a homemade emulsion paint. Due to the cost of materials and production, we have devised a means to make it possible for everybody to be able to produce paint and use in our various homes. So before the end of this video, we are going to be learning how to produce a paint using 5 major elements or 5 major components. So for this particular production, the material and equipment we need is just a stirrer, and as you can see, we are using electric stirrer. The function of the electric stirrer is to make the paint uniform. That is the work of a stirrer. But in a case where you cannot be able to afford a stirrer or you don't have a stirrer, you can use something like a stick, or rather you can use your hand. I think your hand will do a better job than the stick. Then the next one is your bucket, or you can find something like a drum or basin. I think it will go a long way for it. So this is my bag of calcium for the production, and this is the test running of the electric stirrer to get it ready for the production. So if you look at the around, you'll be seeing the buckets around. That means we are ready for our production. So the next thing we will do is to gather all the whole material needed around, so that we will not be running around once the production starts. Having gotten the necessary materials needed, we proceed. So if you look around, you will see our bucket. The blue bucket is the main bucket that we are going to use for the production. Then the 20-liter bucket that is filled with water for the production. Note, in this particular video, we are trying to produce 60 liters of emulsion paint. That means we are producing 3 buckets of paint with the required measurement that is in this video. Therefore, we are using 50 kg of calcium, that is 1 bag for the production. Let's proceed. The first thing we need to do is to pour in the water into the blue basin. In this particular video, we are using 30 liters of water. Therefore, 1 bucket is 20 liters. Therefore, we use 1.5 buckets, that is 30 liters, to start the production. The next thing we are going to add after the water is going to be our calcium. But note, calcium plays an important role in the production of emulsion paint. Just note that the higher the calcium, the higher the stain ability of paint. So we need to moderate the use of our calcium so that our paint will be a standard paint. So as you can see, after losing the bag, we pour it inside the water and stir vigorously. Now this is the time to stir the calcium in the water. We need to stir it vigorously till the calcium dissolves and mix with the water. Note that when you are stirring, you stir clockwise to avoid lump in the paint. Just look at how the process is being done. If you look at the paint, you observe that the paint is now uniformly mixed. So we continue mixing vigorously till we achieve our desired aim. To avoid lumps, to dissolve all the whole lumps in the paint. At this point, the water and the calcium have already mixed. So I have to go over to the next step to add the third ingredient or the third component of this paint production. Remember, what we are producing is emulsion paint. Assuming that we are producing silk, we reduce the amount of calcium that we put inside the water, because it's calcium that made up of emulsion paint, because there is more calcium in the production. So we go over to the next step to add the next component. The next component that we are going to add is acrylic. In this video, we are using 4.5 kg of acrylic. There's a reason for that. There's a relationship between acrylic and calcium. In the production of emulsion paint, we need to balance the amount of acrylic gum and the amount of calcium, so that if you touch the paint, or maybe if you lie on the wall that is painted with the paint produced, it will not stain your clothes. For instance, there is a painted wall that if you touch, it will stain your cloth, or rather it will stain your hand. The reason is because they increase the amount of calcium in the production. On the contrary, if you increase the amount of acrylic in your production, actually what you are producing is now silk paint. So in this production, you need to balance the amount of acrylic and the amount of calcium you use. That's why we use 4.5 kg to produce 60 liters of paint. That is 3 buckets. Therefore, if we want to produce 1 bucket, that is 20 liters, we are actually using 1.5 kg. That is our measurement according to our own experiment. Then after adding your acrylic, now you have to stir vigorously. If you noticed, after adding our acrylic gum, the paint became more watery. So we need to find a way to increase the texture of our paint. That is why we need to introduce a binder or a nitrosol. But regarding to this production, we are using a binder. A binder tends to increase the texture of paint by increasing the viscosity of that particular paint. So our binder is in a powder form. There's a reason why we cannot pour it like this inside the paint, because the paint is already a solution. So we need to dissolve the binder with water. There's no actual measurement for the water, but at least you will add water that can mix it and dissolve all the whole particle. Actually, this production is a homemade production. We don't have the actual machines for the mixing, so we are using our hand. Although we're supposed to be using hand to turn the paint, but we are opportune to have an electric mixer. So we have to pour our binder inside the paint. Notice what is going to happen. Just look closely. You will find out that there is foam on top of the paint. Therefore, there is reaction going on, and the paint has started to thicken. Just watch the paint closely. You see that the paint has started to thicken, and the texture of the paint have increased. That is the work of a binder and night roser. We actually have two examples of binders that we normally use for our productions. One is Bamako. The number two is Minocell. But for this particular production, we used Bamako. That is the binder that we used. So when looking at the paint, you'll find out that our paint is almost forming. So we need to stir vigorously to achieve our desired result. Just look at the paint, look at the texture. Unlike when acrylic is added, you find out that the paint have started thickening. Just look at it, you'll be seeing small lumps on top of the paint. That's why we need to stir vigorously in one direction to be able to remove all the whole lumps and the foams on top of the paint. Wow, just look at what is happening. Just look at what is happening. Just look at the reactions of the paint. The next thing we are going to add is called Juniper. When looking at it, you'll find out that the texture of the Juniper is so high and it's in liquid form. So the work of this Juniper is to increase the spread effect of paint. That means, assuming that Juniper is not added in paint, you will use maybe 2 rows of your painting brush to paint one specific area. But with the aid of Juniper have made the spreading effect of paint easier. That means instead of using 2 rows of paintbrush to paint one particular specific marked area, you can actually use one paintbrush to paint it, because Juniper have already given it that effect of spreading. Once you touch it on the wall, it's going to cover and spread to a particular place. When looking at this our production, you will find out that Juniper gave this paint a little bit slimy effect apart from the spreading effect. Then that is the work of a Juniper, and I think that is the last component we are going to add. Then we stir vigorously in one direction, because we need to mix the paint to be uniform. All the whole component need to be uniform so as to achieve the desired effect of the paint once we are using it. So let's watch closely and observe the reactions going on. When looking at the production, you'll find out that our paint is almost ready. Our paint is almost ready. If this is your first time of coming to this channel, kindly subscribe to this channel, like this video and share, because it takes a lot of time to film this particular content that I brought to you people, and your support will really go a long way. Thank you. So this is the end product of the paint. If you watch, you will see that we are packaging the paint. We are transferring it, filling it to the required bucket. That is, the bucket there is 20-liter bucket. So that means we are going to get 3 20-liter buckets from this one basin of production. In a situation where we need a colored paint, All we need to do is to add color inside the white paint that we just produced, because there's no way you produce a colored paint without making a white paint first. So this is a white emulsion paint. To produce a colored emulsion paint, we need to mix the color, the particular color that we desire, with a detergent or hot ingredient. A detergent is an example of hot ingredient. So we need to mix the particular color or paste with an ingredient and the water. So the color that we are using is called yellow paste. Yellow paste. We actually have outside. Outside is mainly for inside of the house. We can use outside, but paste is always good for the outside. But two of them works well depending on the one you want to use. But we are using yellow paste to produce our colored paint. So what we want to achieve, we want to get a yellow paint. So after mixing it, we have to add it into our white emulsion paint, because I told you people that there's no way you will get a colored paint without getting the white emulsion paint first. From white emulsion paint, you can manipulate to any color you want, depending on your knowledge on the color codes I'm missing. So we have to keep on adding the paint, keep on adding the paste till we achieve our desired color that we want, depending on how dim or how light we want our paint color to be. So when looking at the paint, we observe that the paint is no longer white in color. It's now yellowish in color. Our desired color in this particular video is to make a bright yellow paint. But regarding to you, if you want to produce your own and you need a purple color paint, actually you are going to buy a red and blue oxide or paste. You get it? Because combination of red and blue is going to give you purple. Or if you want to produce a green paint, actually you are going to buy a blue and yellow oxide or paste. Combination of blue and yellow is going to give you green. That is just it. You just need to know all those your primary combination of your primary colors to obtain a secondary color. Just go back and learn the color codes online. You will get it. So depending on your taste, that's what will determine the color of your paint. So thank you all for watching this wonderful content. Support this channel by subscribing to this channel, like this video and share this video, and don't forget to turn on your notification button, because more videos related to this is going to be dropping on this channel. There are more contents on their way coming. Thank you for watching. See you in my next video.